Hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today we're jumping into some malicious compliance. This is where I would normally encourage you to subscribe to the channel, but you all know YouTube really well and I don't have to do that, do I? Our first story today comes to us from Edic FZ. How not to get new clients, lose existing clients, and get 2 weeks paid time off. Let's jump right in. Some 10 years ago, I was switching jobs after over 7 years at my previous one. I decided I was done with printers and stuff and wanted something new, and I found this company that was supplying CCTV, security, and fire alarms. The company had branches in a few bigger cities in my country. The pay was worse than my previous job, but I figured it's not that bad, and I really wanted to switch jobs. I was contracted for 3 months of a trial period. It's common practice in my country. It's a type of short-term job employment contract, usually 1 to 3 months, that legally has the same terms as a regular job contract, with often some limits on company benefits like private Medicare or gym pass or whatever, after which we'll decide if I'm staying or not. My boss was the regional manager and I've had a coworker who had been hired earlier. Our branch was open for a few months at this point. Now, it's important to note that the company only dealt in business to business. No retail, we didn't even have a fiscal printer. That is mandatory if you want to do retail sales. So our clients were all big companies, big and small that per company policy specialized in electrical equipment installation. In my country, all businesses are registered in a central database, and the type of stuff done is one of the required stuff from a vast catalog of what can be done commercially. This is tied to the pricing levels. You run an electric company, you get better prices than a flower company, you get the idea. The company had a CRM, customer relationship management software, in which we were required to note every interaction with our clients. When I asked our RM about how it should be kept, a conversation followed. So I need to note only sales or some other stuff as well? Everything, each call, each visit, each sale, and you need to schedule the client's next visit or call. You're to contact each of your clients at least once a week to keep up relations and note everything in the CRM. It's connected to the phone billing, so we know when you've made the calls or not. So I'm supposed to call each client at least once a week for a chat? Yes, and make notes in the CRM. You realize calling that often will annoy most clients? This is the company policy. We want our clients to be cared about and it's your job to do it. I think everyone knows this is not how you build a positive relation with your potential clients. We're all sick and tired of banks or phone companies calling with another great offer. But fine, it's not my place to argue with company policy. I split with my coworker the clients we had registered, found few more potential contracts on the internet, and for the next few weeks I'd call each of my clients. First to introduce myself as their new sales guy, and asked if I can contact them once in a while to check up on things. I didn't note how often I'd check up on things. After a few weekly calls, some clients stopped answering, others blocked me. I noticed I get straight to voicemail, that's pretty obvious. And some got annoyed with the pestering and voiced that with all manner of euphemisms, or straight up insults about wasting their time, and if they want something from me, they'll get back to me. I obviously noted every call in the CRM as explicitly instructed, but just in case someone actually read it, I refrained from citing insults and just went with client angry about 2 frequent contacts, next contact on this date. That was always in 1 week time. All this didn't win me any favors with the client base, with one exception, but it hardly made a difference. Because we managed to antagonize most of our current and potential clients, we obviously didn't get many sales done, so we weren't allowed to keep many wares on our local stock. This meant that if someone would actually stumble into our store, the shelves would be mostly empty, to the point that putting together a small CCTV setup would be impossible, because we'd have like 1 DVR, 2 cameras of the same type, and 1 hard drive for the DVR. By that point, we'd get resupply twice a week, so if client ordered something on Thursday, the order would arrive on next Tuesday afternoon at the earliest. This was often unacceptable, so clients would scrap the order. We did some business from time to time, but I'm pretty sure our branch was not making enough even to sustain itself, not to mention making a profit for the company. After about 7 to 8 weeks, I was dialing one of my clients again to check up if he doesn't need anything. Let's call him Red. I was about to hang up with no answer when he did pick it up. "Hi, this is Ed from Company X. Can I take a moment?" At this point, he furiously interrupted me, yelling, "Are you effing serious? I nearly fell off the ladder thinking it's something important, and it's you again? Didn't I effing tell you not to bother me again? Are you effing stupid?" This rant went on for a while. Guy was really creative when it comes to various combinations of insults, something that I think is impossible in the English language. When he finally made a long enough pause for me to chime in, I went with my, at this point, usual explanation. "I'm sorry you find these calls disturbing, but it's our company's policy to keep a close contact with our best clients." Red never actually bought anything. "I don't give an F about your company's policy. Get me your supervisor." "Yes, sir." I happily gave him my boss's rank, name, and phone number. He paused for a moment, I'm guessing to note the info I've given him, and then hung up without a word. I dutifully noted the conversation in the CRM, noting that client angry, requested contact to supervisor, complied. After about half an hour, my RM called me. "Did you call Red today?" I did, like I do on a weekly basis per instructions. "Okay, don't call him again." I'm sure Red gave him a piece of his mind about the company policy. Next week, the one guy that didn't mind my calls strolls into the store and from the door asks, "I hear you're closing up shop?" I look at my coworker with surprised expression. She mirrors it. We asked him where he heard about it, and he answered vaguely, "That's the word around town." We told him that we don't know anything about it. He ordered some basic stuff we as usual didn't have on hand, and left. When I put out the order to arrive in the next shipment, I got a call from the headquarters warehouse. "Hi, did you order X and Y?" I did. "Is there a problem?" "Yeah, kinda. All your deliveries are on hold and we can't ship anything to you." I put the 2 and 2 together, thanked them for the info, hung up, and shared the revelation with my coworker. She contacted the RM to ask about it, and he claimed it must be some kind of mistake and not to worry. The same week on Friday, the RM arrived at 9 o'clock. We opened the store at 8 and went straight to the point. "Here are the papers to relieve you from work as of Monday. Today, we pack all of the stock and equipment. At 1400, there will be a truck to pick everything up and the store is done." Work relief is a document that basically tells you that you're still employed as per contract, keeping the pay and social security, but you don't have to actually work, and it doesn't deplete your annual batch of vacation days. We get 20 to 26 days of paid vacation per year. It's used usually when an employee needs to be terminated with notice period, but you don't want to keep him around for the remaining time. In my case, I was 2 weeks until my trial period was to end, so I got the remainder of that time off with pay and the contract would just end. My coworker had 2-week notice period per her contract. I listed the brief time spent at this company as branch closing specialist on my LinkedIn. I think it's more accurate than the technical and sales specialist I actually had on my contract. The company is still there, but scaled back on its branches, and as far as I know, they loosened up their policy a bit. I went on to switch industries once more, cable TV, but got back to CCTV and stuff for the next company where I've spent 4 years, where I had a lot of regular clients and didn't call any of them once without a specific reason. In the comment section for this one, there were a lot of people saying things about the RM not telling them that their branch was closing. Unfortunately, this is just a normal thing in the retail world because if you tell somebody that their branch is closing, you're either going to lose them right away to another employer or their work productivity is going to go through the floor because they know they're losing their jobs and they just don't give a crap anymore. Going back to the weekly calls though, it sounds to me like that policy was put in place by somebody who's never really worked with clients themselves. It sounds like the company brought in somebody from outside with absolutely no experience who thought, well, we need to build better relationships, so let's bombard them with phone calls. Anybody who's worked in sales or customer relations knows that one of the quickest ways To sour a relationship with a customer is to contact them too many times when they haven't explicitly told you that they need your services right then and there. Our second story today comes to us from the same OP, Edic FZ. You shall not move the printer. Let's jump right in. This is not an epic tale, but still makes me smile when I think about it. Some years ago, I worked in a store that deals with security devices, CCTV, alarms, home automation and stuff. It was part of a larger chain. The headquarters was in a town some 5 hours drive away, and the chain itself was set up in a way that the store manager was, in most cases, on a business-to-business contract with the store chain. My store was a bit different because the guy who hired me was in charge of 2 stores, ours, the smaller one, and another one in his hometown about 1.5 hours drive away. That meant I wasn't directly connected with the chain management structure. This would have consequences later. Now, the store I was working in was managed by a girl, let's call her Barb, that's, and it's important, about 1.7 meters tall, about 5'7" for you Imperial crowd. And what she lacked in height, she made up with character. When she knew something was dumb, she pointed it out loud and direct. If it happened to be a manager or director in the company chain, well crap, he gets blasted in the face both barrels. She was great at her job though, and I liked working with her. She showed some restraint toward customers, but when a Karen showed up, well, we didn't get many Karens in our store. Our manager was also a great guy that always stood up for us, and since he was our employer, he was the buffer between us and the higher-ups. Our store, on the other hand, was the smallest in size from all of the nearly 40 stores across the country. Like, literally 40 square meters, including basement storage. But since we often got results rivaling stores twice our size in cities 3 times bigger, we finally got to move to a larger place. We were happy about it for 2 reasons. 1, the new place was 3 times bigger and on 1 level. And 2, it had air conditioning. Our old place barely had any ventilation. When the move was finally approved, we, per the chain company request, needed to get it done in 2 days. So day 1, we pack all our stock, our stuff, PCs, register, documents, etc. in boxes, dismantle the furniture that could be dismantled, and book a van to move all this stuff to the new place. On day 2, we move, with the support of our manager and 3 guys from the chain, 2 of whom were on the company's board. The company was kinda weird in this way. Their job, along with helping with manual labor, was to make sure everything goes smooth and take inventory. Day 1 took about 12 hours. On day 2, we started at 8 AM and got everything moving. It was dark out when we finally got everything set up, after about 12 or 13 hours of work. At this point, we had all of the front-end customer ready, with minor details to go. One of them being where the printer will go. We, me and Barb, wanted it behind our back on a low shelf, easy access. Enter Bob, nearly 1.95 meters, 6.5 feet tall, bulky, bald dude, senior manager and member of the board of the chain company. He argues that the printer should go below the desks. We had 2 large desks making a counter that spanned nearly the width of the store, leaving only a small gap that we used to get out to the front of the store, so the customers won't see it. We noted that the place that he wanted the printer was taken by the trays for all the invoices and other documents we produce in excess on a daily basis. You can take the paper to the back, Bob says. After every printout? You serious? Barb replies. Ever seen a miniature pincher barking up a Doberman? It looked something like this, only the Doberman was as angry as the pincher. They were on each other's throats for a good 10 to 15 minutes. Everyone else was dead tired after what was essentially a full 12 hours of manual labor. This is when my tired mind got the best of me, and I said, Barb, just let it go. We'll do it his way, and when they leave tomorrow, we'll set it our way. I only realized that I said it out loud when it became dead quiet and everyone stared at me. Bob was pissed. Now, I'm 1.9 meters tall myself, 6'3", but still only a lowly salesman. And I just basically told the board member to suck it. Barb looked at me, then at Bob, and finally at our boss. The moment when our boss said, "See, you have no power here, just leave it," was the moment I realized I was holding my breath. Bob sighed loudly and told us to do whatever, which we did. When I left the company some 3 years later, I got tired of retail, but still remained on good terms with the company. The printer was in the same spot I put it on that day. No one from the chain dared move it. Okay, so I read that whole story, but I'm still focused on one thing here. Where in the world is a 5'7" woman considered short? Where I'm from in Canada, that's probably high average height for a woman here. I honestly couldn't help constantly thinking about that all the way through this story. I guess that's just the way my silly mind works, I don't know. Our last story today comes to us from Lade E. Love. Customers always right? Let's jump right in. So I work as a minimum wage cashier at a discount store. I see a lot of people in a day, especially people who know how to do my job better than me, due to their lack of experience and profound understanding that my job is the easiest in the world. Now, I always shut that crap down, in the classic corporate happy public service employee way. Well, actually, it makes it a little easier this way, but thank you so much for helping. Like I'm talking a toddler down from an upcoming tantrum, but I don't leave room for arguing. It's almost like I'm playing a character, honestly. It works for me. But I never just let someone do something stupid, like letting them walk out with a bag too heavy without double bagging it, or letting them leave putting their receipt in their bag if it looks like they might want to return it. But not today. It's Saturday, so it's busy. All day, as I would finally get a minute to get my other work done, someone would come up taking forever to consider the impulse buys, while I'm stuck waiting for them at the register getting nothing done. This woman did that, but twice. She got up there, pondered for a minute, got a line behind her, decided to go look at something else. I'm stuck with this line till just before she gets back, and ponders again before finally getting to me. She's your average looking middle-aged soccer mom, but already she's getting on my nerves. But hey, it's Saturday, every customer gets on my nerves, so whatever. She's got a lot of larger but lightweight items with some smaller items like bags of candy and socks. So I'm getting half of it in one large bag, half of it in another large bag. So I go to get the second bag, handing her the first one, when she goes, "No, I don't want a lot of bags. You can fit the rest in there, it's fine. You should ask before getting more bags. It's your job to do things how the customers want and asking. Otherwise, you should just know to do one bag if you can. It's wasteful. I only want one bag." And I thought to myself, wow, it sounds like she's never done retail a day in her life. She must know what she's doing. Now, it's also worth noting that she had a few heavier items. Not many, but a few. They were glass jars of sauces with lots of pigment and staining properties. It's also worth mentioning she was getting some chips that came in bags with pointy, sharper edges that eat bags for breakfast. The bag gets too heavy and they press into the sides at any angle, and that bag is toast. It's also worth mentioning she was getting several white clothes made of very stainable material. Nice clothes. She said they were for an important party she had to go to that night, bragging. Normally, I would double bag, which would keep the sharp corners in check. But she was right. She only wanted one bag, so that must be all she needs. So I get the glass jars in with the clothes, nested in there nicely spaced out, where they wouldn't hit each other with the clothes between them. And the bags on top spread around the top, so it was easier to lift the bag just like she wanted. That darn bag was already looking like it would bust wide open any second when she took it from the counter. Luckily, a line hadn't formed behind her yet, just someone looking the impulse buys over, so I couldn't really step away, but nothing to do but watch where I had a clear view of the parking lot. I watched as she struggled out the two front doors, no automatic, got a quarter of the way to her car when the bag bust. Glass and sauce everywhere. She had like $15 worth, about 5 jars. She struggled to force them back into the bag, hoping she could at least pile them in her arms with the bag holding it together, trying not to cut herself on the glass she had wrapped up. It broke some more. She tried to salvage it and balance it back up. Failed, gave up, grabbed as much of an armful as she could, had to take like 5 trips, her blouse and pants ruined. Maybe after over a year and a half of cashiering nearly every day, I know what I'm doing. Shocker. OP mentioned in the comment section down below that this lady did not come back in to complain or try to return things or put blame on OP for using one bag. It kinda sounds like they put their tail between their legs and left because they knew that it was their problem, and this was exactly what they asked for. Check out all 3 OPs linked in the description down below. I thank you for watching, I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.